everybody. I'm Brother Joe.
And I'm Brother Ray.
Welcome to another episode of Brothers, Bikes, and Bourbon. Remember,
Drink responsibly.
Absolutely.
We decided it'd be fun, since this is Brothers, Bikes, and Bourbon, to start out right here in Tennessee, where good Tennessee whiskey is made.
Yeah.
And being from Chattanooga, I have never been to the Jack Daniel's distillery, which is just right up the road. Sin of all sins.
So we thought, what the heck? I mean, that might be a fun thing to do. And so we did. And it's a good ride. We rode up State Route 156, basically from South Pittsburgh.
Right, up on top of Mount Eagle Mountain.
Yep.
Cut over to the west, heading up towards Lynchburg. It was a great ride. And if you've never driven that road, I encourage you to do so.
Add that to your list, because it also takes you, the route that you go will take you right to the intersection of 156 and Old US 41. And it intersects right at the entranceway to St. Andrews High School, which is a private high school that friends of ours went to and had connections. And then literally just down the block is the University of the South, Sewanee, Tennessee, and it's a storied liberal arts college. So what we're here today, though, is talk about bourbon. Let's talk about what we bought today. So, full disclosure too, by the time we got there, because of our delays and all the just lack of decision making, we ended up missing out on doing a tour. So that'll be for another day.
Yeah, we did the next best thing, which was go buy bourbon. What could be better?
One of my tips and tricks is, especially if you're doing historical things, or if you're doing hysterical things, as we often do, but if you're doing historical things and you don't have time to really go through that event, go through the gift shop.
Right.
Pick up a book, pick up a keychain, pick up a pack of postcards. But the great thing about that is you can get a feel about where it is that you are just by doing that.
Correct.
So with whiskey, it's certainly one of the nice things to do.
One of the things we did when we went in there, we asked them, or actually Joe asked them, what do you have here that we can't get anywhere else? So that was our theme for today, was to try to buy some whiskey from Jack Daniel's that you can't buy in the store.
Yeah.
And so I picked up a bottle of this White Rabbit, Jack Daniel's White Rabbit. We're going to sample it tonight and see how it goes and see what we think. And that's the bottle that I picked up. And Joe, why don't you share with them what you picked up?
So, one of the things that distilleries are doing now is a lot of experimentation.
Right.
As distillate becomes very popular, and you can't really flash age stuff. You can't reduce the time it takes to age whiskey. So they're trying different things, different experimentations. Jack Daniel's is no different, and this is called the Tennessee's Tasters Selection Barrel Reunion Number 2, straight Tennessee whiskey finished in oatmeal stout barrels. It's 46% or 92 proof whiskey, done in sort of that prohibition, sort of hip flasky kind of rounded bottle way, whereas the White Rabbit is done. It says White Rabbit Saloon, so it has that sort of 1890s, 1910, right? Sort of thing. And you can see where the barrel is.
It's kind of a chunky bottle. It's cool. It really is a nice looking, aesthetically pleasing packaging for the whiskey.
So this whiskey was released in the fall of 2019, and it has some notes on it. We'll talk about that a little bit. And the final one, I'm a big fan of Jack Daniel's single barrel. It's not just, it's more expensive, but I mean, it truly does have that unique character. And literally what they do is they'll take a barrel, 55-gallon barrel, and then they will say, this barrel is good enough to be single barrel, and pull that off the rick at the rick house, and they will bottle that barrel into specific bottles. And so this is single barrel proof. So this is proofed at, this is a hefty one, 66.85% alcohol. In other words, 133.7 proof. So we're gonna, we'll see how that goes down. And they also have, the ability to kind of memorialize bottles that you get. And so we did that with Brothers, Bikes, and Bourbon. And so even though, whiskey's not just for looking through, it's for drinking. And so we certainly would do that. But this will definitely be a keepsake.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So which one do we want to try first?
That's a good question. So let's get started. What do you think? So what do you want to start with?
Well, I think that we should start with this one here, White Rabbit.
Okay.
And see what we think. What do you think?
I like it. And what we're going to do, I'm going to move these out of the way right now, is we're going to taste just a little bit, neat, because that's the way you should really taste whiskey. So they said. Okay.
Let's go ahead and open her up.
Okay. And it is old number 7. So it's
A little bit here.
manipulated old number 7, which is the essence of what Jack Daniels produces.
A little bit here.
You don't have to be so stingy.
Well, here you go, brother.
I can almost see it. Okay, that's good. I can almost see some whiskey in there. It's like,
See what I gotta put up with.
rum is not for drinking, the rum is for surviving.
Okay.
All right.
Here's to a great, great day of rye. And a
Always.
great opportunity to drink some good bourbon.
Oh, my.
Some good whiskey at the end of the day, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't have a strong proof, so you don't, I don't mind putting my nose close to it. With that 92 proof, I don't think I'll stick my nose that far into it. Definitely got that vanilla. Wow.
Very good.
Right?
Very good.
Almost coconut.
Very nice. Very nice.
That is really nice.
Really nice.
It's, it's
Folks, I'm
surprising.
telling you.
It's got a sweetness to it.
If you go to Jack Daniels, get this. It's outstanding.
That does not taste like old number 7 that I remember from the Army. But that's another story for another time.
It certainly doesn't taste like the old number 7 that I used to drink camping out with my buddies.
Right. And the part of the problem with Jack Daniels and their success, I think, is that they did a great job of marketing, and the book Bourbon Empire, we'll link to it at the bottom. It's one of the books that definitely a go-to for us.
Right.
But when they talk about he talks about the history of Jack Daniels in there as well, and we also know from recent history that Jack Daniels learned how to make whiskey at an early age from an African American enslaved person in Tennessee.
Right.
The distillery has been doing a really good job about telling that story, and it's part of the origin story, or at least bringing it out into it. But their branding salvation, and we've gone through a lot of different things. I didn't realize this until reading the book Bourbon Empire, but that during Prohibition, Jack Daniels moved from Lynchburg to St. Louis, and they distilled whiskey under medical license, medicinal purposes only. Famous, story. And they were a distiller, just making whiskey again with the Johnson County process of taking distillate and filtering it through sugar maple charcoal, and that's one of the things that gives it that high sugary taste. But when Frank Sinatra said that Jack Daniels was his favorite drink, that had a huge impact on their branding. In later years, rock stars, as we know, more of that real gritty rock star kind of thing, biker gangs, bikers, of which we are not. We are motorcyclists, but Oh gosh, and of course people will parse that, we don't really care. The point is that there's kind of a pedestrian sense of branding about Jack Daniels. It's interesting, in Germany, where we lived for a while, Jack Daniels was really big, and they sponsored football teams. In the US we would call them soccer, but and it's interesting how those teams, Jack Daniels, you're having some Jack Daniels, that's really cool, man. I mean, it's just that cachet is just very different. But there's that kind of rebellious sense to it.
Right.
So a lot of times it has been kind of looked down on by the whiskey elite, I guess. That's pretty nice.
They're not going to be looking down on this. I can promise you that. So, again, White Rabbit. Get you some White Rabbit if you get a chance to go to Jack Daniels. This is very, very good.
And it's really nice too. They've got the whole, turn of the century branding thing with the typeface is very much of that heavily serif typeface. When you purchase liquor from Mr. Jack's elegant and reputable establishment, you knew where it came from. Nobody could rectify or doctor his goods, because he ran his own distillery in Lynchburg and stood behind every drop that left his barrel house. And rectify is a term, well, we don't have to go into it, but the other thing in the 1880s, 1890s, the rectifiers, basically rectifying alcohol out of, the distillate or out of the mash. And there were a lot of people, the Food and Drug Administration came out of not just the food world, but from the whiskey, the whiskey clients of these snake oil merchants of the 1870s, 1880s, and they were, just putting out vodka. We know from Westerns, American Westerns, whiskey, don't give me that stuff you give to the Indians, give me the good stuff. Well, it was that scene in the Outlaw Jesse Wales showcased, though, the fact that in the 19th century there was a lot of really bad whiskey made, and a lot of it was used for more pedestrian customers. So that part of that kind of statement on here is reflecting, I think, that idea that you can trust this distiller because he does things right. So
yeah, and one of the things that everybody hates for any product is a lot of hype, a lot of pizzazz, and nothing really to back it up. It's like the old commercial, "Where's the beef?" This particular whiskey here,
that's
there's plenty of
surprising.
beef.
Yeah,
very good.
That's good.
So what are we going to do next?
I think we should continue on and prove. This is 92 proof, and then we're going to go up to the 133 proof. So,
And this is 86 proof.
yeah, so that's 86 proof. But again, that's largely, old number 7. We may have to add in some, corrections as we do our research on it.
Right.
So let's take a look at this bottle of Tennessee Taster Selection Barrel Reunion number 2, as I said, straight Tennessee whiskey, finished in oatmeal stout barrel. Basically, old number 7, that is finished, and unfortunately there's no age statement, so we don't know how long. Think of this as Jack Daniel's version of the Boilermaker. A Middle Tennessee craft brewery finished their oatmeal stout using our barrels. We explored further, bringing the empty barrels back to finish our Tennessee whiskeys, and kind of back and forth. The result is unique and characteristic. Its nose, classic Jack notes of vanilla and toasted oak. The stout provides a creamy texture, hints of oak, coffee, and chocolate-covered cherries. We'll see.
Released in the fall of 2019, is what it says on the bottle.
Right.
So, all right. Let's see what we
So, and the other thing is, this is also part of their experimentation.
It's got a nice smell to it.
I can, definitely kind of chocolatey nose. Full full body, wow, boy, that's different. Definitely cherry. I don't know about the chocolate covered cherries, but I definitely get that round cherry kind of thing. What do you think?
Yeah, it's got a bite to it when it goes down. You know, it's a good, but it's not a bitterness. It's a warmness that you can feel in your stomach.
Yep.
Down.
Yep. That's
Very nice.
Yeah. I mean, has a little bit of I will say a machine oil quality to it. There's kind of this stickiness, if you will. Not like a Southern Comfort, and it's toasted coconut. Something
It's
like
very
that.
good. I mean, I like it very, very much.
Yeah, I mean, but boy, the difference between these two, well, you guys can see that, right? I mean, how different they are. I mean, but they're really different.
Yeah, they're very different. Now, what we'll do when we finish is I'm going to give my number one pick, and Joe's going to give his number one pick. Doesn't mean that any of them are bad. It just means our preference on these three is it's this one or that one or the other one. So very, very nice.
Yeah, and again, one of the things that and that's the other thing is we're learning about whiskey. We absolutely don't.
And we are not pros by any means.
No, we've been drinking for a long time. It's kind of nice lately to be thinking about whiskey, and that's one of the things that I love about going to distilleries is to seeing where it's made and how it's made.
Right.
And the thing is that almost all whiskeys are made virtually the same. It's grains that are ground, that are mixed with some water, that are cooked. There's yeast added to that mash. They create that distiller's beer. They cook that. They evaporate the alcohol, which has a lower boiling point than water, which is interesting. And science. It's science.
No, it's not science. It's magic.
Science fiction. It is magic.
It's magic.
But I tell you, it's magic what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
But I mean, wherever you are, if you're in the North Highlands of Scotland, if you're in County Cork of Ireland, if you're in Kentucky or Virginia or Indiana or Colorado, you're making whiskey basically the same way.
Right.
But the difference is in that master distiller. It is in the choice of the mash bill. What are the percentages of each one of the, like making wine? It's so different. And so it's interesting. I don't know about the oatmeal part. Part of that is because I hate oatmeal. So other than oatmeal cookies, why bother? That's just me.
Well, oatmeal cookies are the best. That's for sure.
Yeah, oatmeal, chocolate chip oatmeal, maybe that's cutting. But I mean, you can see that, so they're taking new charred oak barrels, putting number 7 into it, distill it in to create number 7. They bottle it, take that barrel, send it to that Middle Tennessee brewery.
Right.
They age their stout, oatmeal stout in that for X amount of time, however long they do it. Right. And then they bottle their beer, send the empties back to Lynchburg. These guys say, we'll use them again.
Recycle.
And the thing is, though, I mean, they can't start with distillate and then put it into the used barrel in order to be true to what they do. Right. You can do that in Scotland, you can do it in other places, but again, to be a bourbon, to be a Tennessee whiskey, you have to start with new charred oak barrels. So, but that's good.
Okay, sample number 2. Down the hatch. Now let's go to sample number 3. Are we ready for that?
Let's do that. I will do a quick rinse. Do you want to do a quick rinse? Down the hatch.
This is water, kind of
little
clean.
whiskey flavor. Yeah, and that's the other thing is, and one of the other, I mean, absolutely great YouTube channels that I love is It's Bourbon Night. Chad and Sarah, I believe.
Yeah.
But really, again, we'll link to them. We'll learn so much from them.
If you want to really learn about stuff, you need to go there.
And they're funny as hell and delightful couple, and they're really, really nice.
Have fun, man. You can tell they have fun.
They do, yeah. Unlike us, we're not having fun.
No, we're not having fun.
Okay, so again,
we're not having any fun. Let's drink some more.
That's right. Single barrel proof. So normally, Jack Daniel's, what they'll do is they'll take a barrel, they will pick it out of the ring, say, yep, we're gonna make single barrel out of that barrel. We're gonna barrel 55 gallons worth of bottles, and it becomes, dated and whatnot. It's, it's a more of a premium whiskey.
Right.
But in order to do that, there is, as with so many whiskeys, that will pull the proof down based off of what it is that they want to do.
Right.
In this case, they said, no, we're doing this at barrel proof. So it's 133%. It's probably something we're going to say needs some water. But we wanted to do kind of that comparison and be able to see.
We want to see what our...
And it's got a good sound.
Our stamina is, yeah.
Right.
It's got
the bottle has a good... And again, we'll, kind of put that there, Brothers Pikes and Bourbon. So let's see.
Cheers.
Yeah. Wow. It's almost no nose. A little bit of vanilla, definitely. But, you're going to get that with this.
Woo!
Yeah. Mamacita.
Good stuff. It's powerful.
It is powerful, yeah.
It comes in and says, I'm here.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty smooth. I think
yeah. That's a good point. It does not.
You don't really need water to drink it.
Well, and that's the thing too about Tennessee whiskey is, again, it's not for everybody's palate, but because of that sugar maple charcoal, it really adds, don't you think, to that uniqueness of it. Wow. Really definitely opens up the sensors on the sides of the mouth. Breathing in, oh yeah.
Now this is medicinal.
That's medicinal.
If you've got a chest cold, this will clear you out. Yeah.
That's right. So any verdicts? You want to keep sipping on this? What do you think? I think they have different purposes.
I do too.
That might be the way to think about these.
Well, I like them all. Any one of these that you can't buy anywhere else are fine choices. So you really can't go wrong. And of course, drinking bourbon, just like smoking cigars, is an individual choice.
Absolutely.
So each person has a different preference. If I'm drinking stuff every day, if I'm drinking it more often, I'm probably going to choose this bourbon right here on a more of a special occasion, but more
daily drink.
More of a daily drink. This one here, I'm probably going to drink when I'm out with my buddies at the campfire, that sort of thing. And this one here, I'm going to do this on a very special occasion. When I want to come home and I want to, I've had a good day, I'm with my significant other, we want to have a nice little, toddy or something, it's going to be something like this. So for me, if I were to pick one overall that I like the best, it'd be this one here.
I would feel the same way. I would probably order them the same way. These two, definitely, you see the sweetness of the high corn content of Jack Daniel's, and the sugar maple really comes through. The extra proof in this really is noticeable.
It really gives it that extra. It's kind of like when you're riding a motorcycle. Some motorcycles have 5 gears, and some motorcycles have 6 gears. These have 5 gears. This one's got 6.
It's got that little extra get up and go.
Yeah, it does. And
so I just added a little water. I wanted to see how that opens it up or changes it.
Okay.
Yeah, it softens it try them with a little water, just a few drops of that water, and it pulls away some of those edges, I think.
And so, if you like that, if you prefer to have it not quite so announce itself so readily, your best bet is either to put some water in it, or the way I typically drink my bourbon is over the rocks. So, then I sip it slowly and let the water melt in with it. So that might be a direction you might want to go.
See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, you know, we're not saying anything that other people haven't said, but it really is, it's like, yeah, a little bit of water can open up a whiskey, especially a higher proof whiskey.
Right.
Yeah, I think I would typically drink this, you know, this would be really good, like with one of those round big rocks or something, so it doesn't melt too fast.
Right, I agree.
You know, the White Rabbit, you know, definitely. I mean, I think all three of these can be done over the rocks. I think this one, I think the Tennessee Tasters might be one I would make into cocktails. So,
right,
the mint julep, for example.
All three of them would be good cigar whiskeys, though. So if you like to smoke stogies, any one of these would be good with a stogie. So.
But even that, I think it depends on the stogie. I think that if you,
which I like some mild stogies, I'm not a real heavy.
Yeah,
so.
But I think that if you're going with something like a Cameron wrapper, like the 858 from Arturo Fuente, that kind of sweetness to it,
right.
that would clash, you know.
Right.
Something kind of neutral or spicy, I think is what you would want to balance that out.
Right.
Awesome.
Well, it's been great. It's been a great day.
It has been a great day.
Great
Again,
tasting and
you know, brothers, bikes, and bourbon. That's what it's all about.
That's right. That's right. And so we will. You know, we're getting ready to go. You know, for another ride tomorrow, and we'll take a look and start putting some things together for this week. And you know, we'll see you guys. On the flip side.
And again, and I know everybody says this, but it really does matter. If you do like what we're doing here, consider subscribing, clicking the subscribe button. It's up here somewhere.
Yeah.
It does help. It does help us have feedback about, you know, what's working, what you like. There's a icon of a bell. If you click that, it will notify you when we have a new one. And honestly, right now we're not doing videos that often, so it'd be great if you found out, oh, here's another Brothers, Bikes, and Bourbon video. And so, you know, leave us your comments down below about what you like to drink, and especially as you enjoy riding and what it is when your key is off and in your pocket and you're sitting by the campfire or you're sitting back at the house. You know, what's your beverage of choice?
Exactly. Well, we look forward to seeing you again at some point, so have a great night.